see it's recording now. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today about our for our training for the new news website. Today, Kate Price is here and Javier are here as well to help with the training. I'm going to be just giving a brief overview of the training of the site, and then Kate will take it away with doing the training for the actual story layout training, and Javier will give you some information about the images and such. So let me share my screen. I'm going to share my screen first. Okay, so a lot of you attended, oops, I think I'm sharing the wrong thing. Sorry about that. I think I'm trying to pull this up, sorry. Okay, here we go. So I know a lot of you attended the presentation I gave, I believe it was last week or the week before, going over the News Center website. So I'm going to make this pretty brief, but I did want to let you know that that we will be sharing a link for you, like a sandbox type of site for you to go in after the training and test out doing the story layout. And doing that with the sandbox site, it won't mess anything up on our site. So you will have time to practice. We haven't established that URL yet, but we should be getting it within the next 2 days. So that will be coming out after the training. So this is how the site looks for those of you who haven't seen it yet. We changed the format quite a bit, and we changed the name of the site. It will no longer be called the UC San Diego News Center. Now it will be branded UC San Diego Today. And the idea is that this will be our main hub for all of our storytelling on campus, all of our news and storytelling. Right now, you're all familiar with our This Week at UC San Diego newsletter. So that will also be branded as UC San Diego Today, and they'll be together. It will be kind of like a package deal for both of those things. So the newsletter, which will start going out on the week of September 20th, will look very similar in format. The idea is that people would get a branded, similar experience, a streamlined experience for both our newsletter and our news site as well. So with this redesign, one of our main goals was to make the content more fresh on the homepage. So you'll see that Janet and her team will be changing out this content on a frequent basis. So this will all be controlled by Janet's team up here. We did retain our in the media. We still have our latest feed, which is just all the most recent stories feeding in here. And then we also have opportunities for new content types like videos. So we actually have a nice new feature on the site that you'll have access to. Is you can add your videos in a format like this, and you can even add a little paragraph down here describing information about the video if you would like. And then you can pull these. Kate will show you more about this later. You can also pull these into your stories. It's a similar situation with slideshows. We do not have a slideshow module per se on the homepage, but it will give you the opportunity to do your storytelling in photo format, where you will have a similar format here. So people could click through the slideshow, and you could put a paragraph or two down here if you choose to. If not, you can just keep it blank, and it's a nice way to share your slideshow stories as well. And we also have this new section that is topical. So Janet's team can change this out depending on a trending topic. And we also have this more staff focus section now for campus and community. And a voices section. One of the uses for this is we can pull out quotes from some of our stories and link to the stories from this voices module. You can add a few different ones here. These are just placeholders for now. And of course, we still have our upcoming events. The other thing that has changed are our categories. So I did want to go over that as well. So most of our old categories that we had from previously have been remapped and they're going away. Actually, the only one that, and some of them are similar, so I shouldn't say they're all going away because we recategorized them. Some are the same. I believe we had, for example, an arts and culture one previously. But we are still retaining the academics category. So you will see that in the entries when you lay out your news releases. Those are just not showing up on the website. But the idea is that, for example, Anthony, Arts and Humanities, we're not going to get rid of that category because we want to retain all of those old stories of yours so then you could get a feed for your CMS website. If you're not already using one, that you can pull in the news from the site for your department. And as a phase 2, we're also going to make department specific pages that you can share or link to on your personal CMS or your department's CMS website. So this is the new category structure. And like I said, Kate will show you more about how to select those categories in the CMS. It's pretty similar to before, it's just more streamlined now. Basically, these are all subcategories of these main topics. These are all clickable categories within the different sections. These are not clickable categories, but anything you click here, for example, will feed into this research page. I'll show you a sample of that. So this is a nice way to give more life to the stories by putting images here and having a feed page of all the older stories. So this will feed in just in order that they were entered into the CMS. And then we also have this new section for trending stories. This actually is a functionality of the CMS, and it will add right to that section the most popular and most clicked on stories, so people can get the most popular content in that certain category at all times. So let me see here. The site will be, like I said, UC San Diego Today. The URL will be changing. So we will send you a new login link for the permanent site, in addition to, we'll be also sending you, like I said, that Sandbox site login, but that will be temporary. And then when we launch, it will be today.ucsd.edu will be the URL. And then the Maserati is our administrative login, but we'll send you all of that information in an email shortly. And now I think I'm going to pass this. Oh, I wanted to mention, we will be taking questions at the end. So if you have any questions right at this moment, you can ask anything about the design, and then anything related to the training will hold till the end. So does anyone have any questions at the moment before I pass this on to Kate for the training? No? Okay. So Kate will be going over our new layout for the stories. So the new layout is different. Right now, you can add the content. You have the option to add the content with a lot of different images as HTML. And I know that's been problematic for some people. So we did meet with Scripps a while back, and they shared their format with us, which is building the stories using blocks and not having to be, use coding for any of the sections. So we decided to format this in that way. We think it will be a little bit easier for people to build the stories in this way. And we'll have different, I should actually show you. Let me show you this. This is actually a sample of one of the stories. So you can actually build these stories with different blocks. For example, this would be a block of text, and then you can pull in an image. So this is one of our new image sizes right here. We have the nice edge-to-edge image that you can add. And then we, just like on the old site, we'll have various different sizes and different props for those sizes, and Javier will go into more about that. But you just won't have to code it anymore and put classes in or anything like that. We'll also have the ability for you to add something like a little quote on the side. This video is showing up really small. You can still embed video within the text as well. There we go. And we also have a sidebar. This sidebar can be used for different purposes. For example, you can use it for related stories. We don't have that related stories field anymore for this, but the idea is that not everyone is using that. So now you can use this for related stories, or you can use it for other purposes as well. And then this will be at the bottom of every story, and it's the same on every story. It's just a way to push users to other stories on the site. So you may also like section, and then you'll see prominently on the site that we have the sign up for our newsletter, the UC San Diego Today newsletter, and that will stay at the bottom as well. We also have this new section for topics. This is different than the categories. So these categories, you'll see, like I said, the check boxes for these within the CMS. These topics give you the ability to add anything you want. For example, we have climate change here. That's not a category on the site, but this will pull up a search. So this is linked to our site search, and it will pull up all the stories that have that as a keyword. Climate change is a keyword. Another example is Ukraine. Because we can't predict what all those trending topics will be, this is a nice way for you to be able to add those, and then I'll show you what it looks like, what it pulls up. So you can see here, it basically just pulls up this keyword and all the stories that are associated with that keyword. You just want to be really careful about your spelling when you do add topics, because if you spell Ukraine wrong, for example, and you click on it, it's probably going to be the only occurrence that, or it might not even actually find it in the search because it's spelled correctly in all the stories. So that's just something to note. We are going to also be, right now, these aren't linked, but we're going to be linking your names to a feed page of all of your stories. Right now it'll be pretty basic, but as a phase 2, we're going to add your bios and an image to those pages as well. But to start, it will be like they are on the current site, where it's just a feed page of all the stories that you have written. We will still have our embargo at the top, this embargo banner and a draft banner as well. So with that, I think I will pass it along to Kate. Kate, is there anything I missed or?
No, I think that's good. There is a question in the chat, Patrick, about the news feeds, like the research, and how is that you might also like section at the bottom of the page. So do you want to, what's your question for research?
Let me see.
So the research part, so that feed, so you're saying that feed can be pulled into a Cascade website, or is that not, am I not?
Yeah, so that should be able to be pulled into, for example, let me show you all an example. And actually, I'm glad that we're bringing this up because I do have a question for all of you. So for example, this module right here, this is pulling from an image that, this is basically means that there's no image there. That shouldn't be the case on the new site because the thumbnails will be required. But basically, this pulls in from the current Return to Learn category on this Cascade site for the Return to Learn website. And we're actually working with the campus CMS to build this out. So we might even have a page of feed, and we can redesign this as well. But yes, we do have the ability right now to pull in not only news, but also calendar events from our calendar site into Cascade websites. And I did want to mention, actually, now that we're thinking of it, if there are any categories, if you wouldn't mind taking a look and making sure that there's no categories from the current News Center site that you need or you'd like to retain, we can still keep other categories in the background. They just won't be displaying on the site. For example, someone might have asked me, and I'm not going to delete any of the old ones, but we're just not adding to them. So someone from extension, let me use a different example. Someone might be pulling the events feed into their website, for example, and then with this new site, we're not going to have that as a category, so it won't be tagged going forward. So if there's any of these beyond the academics, because like I said, all of these will be applicable still. If there's any old ones, like an old research one or anything, please let me know, and we can keep those visible for you in there. We can keep clicking them, even though they will not be visible on the site, but they'll be used for the feed on the CMS site. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you. I appreciate that. My second question was about the, you might also like section at the bottom of your page. How is that populated?
That is actually, Javier, do you remember how that one is populated? It's automatically populated from Expression Engine, but I can't remember if that is like a trending type of situation. I might have to check with Peter.
Those are the four most latest. So it just shows the latest.
Oh, those are the 4 latest. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Javier. Any other questions before I pass it along to Kate? Okay, so Kate, I'm going to stop my screen share.
I will share in a minute. Hi, I will be leading the training. Javier is gonna start by talking a little bit more about that sample story page and the images, and then I will go in and do a story layout, kind of from scratch to walk through how you would do it. And then I will go in and show the categories, and I think finally we'll talk about those video and slideshow pages and how you can upload to those channels and then also pull those into your story. So, Javier, do you want to?
Yeah, let me start sharing. Are you guys able to see my screen? Yeah, cool. All right, so like Jess was mentioning, I created an entry with all the blocks of just a random story with random text, just to show the different image sizes. So we have one in the CMS where it can be edge to edge, and that's going to be or recommended size is 1920 pixel width. The height doesn't matter, but of course you want to keep in mind that the bigger the height, the more it's going to pull the story. So you're going to try and keep them narrow and try and make sure that all your images are big enough or they'll be blurry. And then we're going to have a full width size image that's going to go from edge of the text to edge of the text. And those ones are going to be 705 pixel width as our recommended size. And same for the
Javier,
large image.
sorry,
Yes.
I just jump in real quickly. These sizes are also noted, as you'll see when I lay out the story. They're all noted in there, so it's not something you have to.
Yeah,
memorize.
they're all
Sorry.
noted in the CMS.
Yeah.
And same for the large image is also going to be 705. And the reasoning for that one is because when it goes into mobile, they both stack at the same width when it's on mobile. So they need to be the same size of 705. And then we have our medium size, which we recommend at about 400 pixel width to keep them nice and clear image. And then our small images will automatically float on the left side. So you don't need to do anything, and there'll be 200 pixel width for those ones. It's our recommended size. And then one other thing I wanted to mention is you guys use the teaser field for the thumbnails on the current homepage. We've increased the size of that field to be 1200 by 628 pixels because we are pushing more towards social media, and they always request bigger images. So now that field that is required is gonna need a bigger image as well. And any questions? I can pass it on to Kate now so she can show you the CMS part of it.
Thank you, Javier.
Yeah.
Okay. Share my screen. Okay, let me just minimize this. Okay, everyone can see. So I'm logged in here to the CMS, and this is similar. This will be news releases. This channel will be renamed to story. And it will all be what we call now features, and news releases will all be the story channel. So I'm in here. So this is all the same. And I have a new one. I have a copy of a story we already have on that I'll use, and I added some things in there to show you. So in the same way you're doing it now, we'll just put your title in, it'll create the URL. There's the subtitle. I will just put this up for a future date. So far this is all same. Here is the hero image. That is the image that will be at the top of the story. You now have the option to either have an image at the top, a video, or a slideshow. And I will go back and show you if you did want to use a video at the top or a slideshow, how you would do that. So for this example, I will use a hero image. So upload a new one. Up here. These. Okay, just make sure I wasn't missing anything. And I will go back and look at those when I'm done, or interrupt me if you need me to slow down. Say yes, held. Authors here are now entered this way, where you just start typing. So this one, Sajira. If you have multiple authors, you would just add another one here. That's how they would show up for the multiples. Media context, if it is the same author and the same media contact, you just enter it once under authors. Jess, is that correct?
Hey, Kate,
Yes.
sorry.
No, sorry.
I
It's
was
just
just answering a question on the chat, sorry.
okay. I just wanted to make sure if you have this, if the author and the media contact are the same, it would just be the author.
Yes, yes. So now we have the author functionality. Before you had to type it in. So now we're going to pull it from the same table as we are the media contacts because we thought that would be easier. But a lot of times the author is the same as the media contact. So if it is the same, just add the author. Do not add the media contact, or else it will just be a duplicate one on top of the other.
Yes, thank you. Here is the teaser. This is the one Javier was talking about. Again, everywhere he added the size, so it's easy to reference. So I'll upload, and that's required, just like is currently. And I have this teaser. So I've already cropped those. So here's the hero options. As I mentioned, you now have choices for that top. So I'm going to use the image here that I uploaded up there. And again, I'll go back to show you if you wanted to do the video or slideshow, how that is done. Here is the caption, which I have at the bottom here. So that's your caption for the photo. And then you just put in your alt, which I would probably have it as adults. Right, more specific, but that would be your alt. I'm going to not ignore this for the slideshow in the video. And then here is the different part. So this is where you are laying out the story content. And this is the first block. As you'll see, I'll be adding on to this. So the first part of my story, we have that hero up top, and then I will add the first part of copy that I will want before my second image. So if I just had one image, I would just copy all of this content here and paste it in. If you want to have an image, which I'm going to show you another second or third image or video or any of those other elements in the story, you are going to just copy the copy that you want above the image. So I'm going to go ahead and take this much, and this is, I'll show you how you can kind of view it and play around with it. And this will become easier to get a sense of how big the photos are in the copy that will go next to it. So after this, I'm going to add an image. And the story I'm sharing is this one. This is on the current site. I'm just going to add one headshot. So I will then, so there is the first copy. This is the H3. I wanted to add that. Make sure that it is tagged H3 here.
Yeah, Kate, I just wanted to say something quick about that. So we've been noticing that people haven't been in their stories making their headings heading level 3s. I just wanted to let you know that that is really important for accessibility. So people with screen readers can just skip through the sections if they want to. So It's really easy to do. You
Yep.
can just go in the design view here. and
Highlight it, and then there's the H3.
Yeah, and that should be all you need to do.
And that formats it so it's, like Jess said, the most important reason is accessibility. And it's also formatting, it's the dark blue text in a different size. So that automatically formats it to our style. So then under that, I'm going to add an image in this case. This is where you would also add, if you want to do the quote, as you saw, a sidebar, a video, this is all the same here. So you just choose which one. This is if you wanted the full width or edge to edge. These are all the other sizes. So I'm going to add a row here. Now this is the copy that will run. Here's the test entry. So as you lay out a block, this is how you're laying it out. So this is a block. So you need to put the copy that will be to the left, or in a headshots, like I'm going to do, to the right next to it. So think of it as this is the block. And if it is longer, it'll just wrap underneath. If it's shorter, there will be extra space. So if I only copied here this paragraph, this whole space would just be white space, and this would be pushed down. So you'll be able to view it and you can edit that. But if you go too long, it'll just wrap underneath. So as I've been testing this out, I've been putting more copy in than I might need. It will just wrap underneath or continue underneath that. So here I ended my copy here. I'm going to go take the copy that I think will be next to the headshot. I'll take these 2 paragraphs, copy them in right here. Here are the image sizes. Because it's a headshot, I've cropped it small. Again, all the sizes are listed here for large, medium, small, medium, and large. So I'm going to do the small. I'm going to upload a new. Where did headshot small? And then I had my caption here. And I'll just put his name. Here. That's the alt. I think this, Javier, is this something you're working on, did you say? I think.
To make it a div, yeah, that should be a div.
It should be the div.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was. Okay, so just ignore that. You can just paste it in. Something like that. Then I'm going to add the rest of my content. So again, if you only have one photo at the top, you would skip this section and you would just paste it all in here. If you have 3 photos, each one will have this own block here. So then I'm going to take the rest of my copy, which I think was just this. Let me see. Yep. Okay. Here's where you would add the topics. Jess mentioned, instead of having a place to add related stories and where you can, these are just where you type it in on yourself. So here I had one as an example. And I would just add it there. And I will save. So that is the new layout portion. What am I? And I didn't do it right.
Yeah, it's just showing the categories because it's
Oh,
required.
I didn't click the. Oh,
Oh, the
That's very
category,
top.
yes, and I wanted to say
yes.
about those. So this is probably gonna happen.
My next step. Yes.
Yeah, so the categories, I forgot to mention when I talked about the categories earlier, on the new site, we're gonna make it so we want you to select at least 1 category for every story and up to 3 categories. We want to limit it at 3 because we've noticed that some people select every single category, so it just affects the integrity of our category pages. So unfortunately, we ran into a bug and we couldn't actually physically require it in here. So what we've done as a workaround, Kate, if you click on that categories now, is we made a field that's like an acknowledgement field, just reminding you to select at least one, but not more than 3 categories. So checking that, you're kind of just saying, yes, I acknowledge that I didn't select one from every single category in here. So making sure you at least select 1 and up to 3. Hopefully we'll be able to in the future actually make those required in the way they need to be, but this is our workaround for now. And these you can see here are our new categories. So we have our research, people, campus and community, arts and culture, voices, and then, as I said, our academics category is still retained, and Nikki, the library is in there, so you will be able to continue clicking on that. And then you can give you your own feed page when you need that.
And Jess, I should know this. These are not included in the 3.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. No,
academics.
those
So-
are not included in the 3. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I never thought of that before. Yes, so really all the ones that say new, and I'll probably have to eventually change those to saying something else, but the research, people, campus, community, voices, and I think there's 5 of them. Those are the ones that you have to select at least 1 and up to 3. But with the CG academics, you can select as many of those as you want. So those don't count towards the other ones above, since those are just for the feed pages.
Yeah. Okay.
For the department.
So yeah, so now we're in the categories. Jesse basically went over that. The tagging is, the same way. They're obviously new categories and they've been rearranged. But as you can see, Jess said 1 to 3.
Yes, and you can select all, for example, if you wanted 3 from research, you can select 3 from research. If you wanted to do 1 from 3 different main category groups, you can do that as well. The other thing I should mention is, like what just happened to Kate, if you notice that you try to publish your story and you don't select a category, it will be because you didn't check that category acknowledgement. So just remember, if you get that error, to check that you did select the categories and that you check that acknowledgement box.
Okay. So that is, I'm trying to make sure that I went over that. Again, you're choosing your content here. Again, so this would just be where you would add quote, sidebar, video, full image, or more content. Is there anything I'm missing, Jess or Javier, on this part of?
Well, one thing I wanted to mention is about the topics. So I think normally topics would be, like forest fires or like the Ukraine, like with the climate change. I believe this,
It is a tag, yeah.
we might have in that, I don't know if we have that one in the academics.
It was, yeah.
If we don't, then, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so normally that would be. the
It wouldn't
type of
be, yeah.
topic. And then you can add as many as you want, I believe, right, Javier? As many topics as you want.
Yes, I think we capped it at maybe 5, but I'm not
Oh,
sure.
that's right. You're right. I think we did cap it at 5. And as with all of this, if you notice there's anything that you have, like, for example, if people are, need to add more than 5 on a regular basis, we can just let us know what your needs are, and we can always modify it later. We just thought it might be good to limit that now that I'm remembering that, because it might get kind of long. So we'll see how that works. And as you're testing this out, just let us know if you're noticing, anything that would suit your needs better. Kate, we would, I don't know if the preview in this is working just
Yeah,
yet.
I was just thinking, I didn't see it, right?
I don't think it is, but as in our other trainings, we encourage you to have, another window open with the actual story, not in the edit mode. And then, as you make changes here in your other tab, you can refresh and see the changes.
This one is in here. It does not have the headshot. I added those after this was pulled with our testing, but this is how except with adding that dummy H3 and the headshot, this is how. So this is your large hero image at the top. If you do not want if you want it to be smaller here, you would just leave that blank, correct? It doesn't,
Yeah, I don't think you have to have that big hero
Okay.
image at the top. So that's the one that Kate was saying that you could also make that a static image, or you can also pull in a slideshow there, or you can pull in, as she said, a video, and
Yep,
so you have
I'll
all of those
show you.
options or nothing. You can just leave it blank. Sometimes you might not have art to support that large of an image, so.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If it's not a photo or an image, either the quality or it's just a headshot, or something like that, you can just ignore that, just start with the copy. Like I did and put this in lower. You could put it in first up here if you don't have a hero. So that's depending on kind of the elements you want to add to your story and what you have for arc and the rest.
And Kate, I have a question about the video. So there's 2 different ways to do the videos. You can do it the old way, which is just in like.
So this
embedding-
is how you would, oh, and I wanted to say something else, just so I can show this now.
Oh, yes.
So this is how you would embed a video in your story, not have the video be like here. So this is Javier has this as the video as the hero. If you just wanted your video in the story, I think he had it down here.
You refresh,
Yeah,
when you
clear
clear your
cache.
cache, it will show up bigger, I think.
This is slow for me. Yeah. If you wanted to embed your video in the story as before, that is also easier than before we had coding. So I just added this, add new row. I have this video open. This would be whatever the same as the image. So the content that's next to it here. It's just going to be dummy content. And then I have this, here's a YouTube video I had. Let's see. Where is, not share here. I don't know where I'm. There, not full screen. I think it's because I'm sharing my screen large here. Anyway, you would take the. Jess or Javier, do you know how I can get the code with this view? The
Yes, you
share
go to the share.
from here
Yeah.
and more. No, it's
Oh
like,
wait, where
It shows
where
the
are you?
full-
I think it's because I'm sharing my full videos full screen here.
Yeah, because usually when you press share, it gives you the option to grab the embed
Yeah.
code, but maybe-
Okay, we'll just use this one. It would be here. Let me
Yeah,
see.
click into the video
See.
where it says Triton Weeks of Welcome 2022.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone.
And then you click share.
Yep, there we go. That's where it is. So you'll take, is it just,
It's just
Yeah,
there
you
for,
have to do that.
Yep.
The embed code,
Yep. so
I
same
think
as
people
we do
forget a
before.
lot, and they take the other link that you just showed, but yeah, you have to remember to take the link from the embed video.
Yep. And this
code.
is the same as when you were embedding them before. So it's the same code there. So here's the embed code. If you want a title. I don't need a caption. So before, when you wanted to embed, you had to have the code inserted in the HTML, or here you can just copy that embed code into here. Now, if you wanted to, if you see your layout, you've previewed it, and the video is too far down, you can click on these right here and move these blocks around. So here, you could have this go at the bottom. And move them around like that. Something I forgot earlier. Then, if you wanted the hero to be, the video or slideshow. They're now their own channels here on, I think I have them. So these are their own pages now. Video stories, slideshows. So to have that hero, you can just, as Jess mentioned in the beginning, you can just add a video and that's your content that you want to share, or you could also have that be in your story at the top. So you would go here to videos. Here is this one. So you would paste in your title, creates the URL just like when you're doing your own entry. And then this is where you would paste that embed URL. And you do have to have a thumbnail here. So you do need to take a screenshot of the video and crop it and add that. So once you did that, that would then pull into this video stories page. And you could also then choose that as your hero instead of that static hero image. You would add related video and then it would be here at the top. If you had just, it would go with the most recent. So you would just click that and the video up here. Same with the slideshow. So I think, is there any other things I'm missing?
Hey, and Javier, did
That's a
you
good
mention
question.
about the headshot and not the headshots, the thumbnails, could pose challenges sometimes because of the orientation of those?
Yeah, I forgot to mention, but I did add it in the chat that if they have any issues with cropping in that teaser dimension, that they can contact us.
Okay, yeah, because now on the old website or the current website, we have the square images for the thumbnails, but on the new one, it's more of a rectangular orientation. So try to choose images that would work well for that. If you do run into issues and you can't get it looking good, just, yeah, let us know. And I don't know, Javier, if you added I think everyone here knows our newsrel at ucsd.edu for questions. If you have anything you need help with, you can always email that as well. If you're having, questions about, the first time you're laying out a story, if you have questions about that or about images or anything, just let us know. And we also might add a Slack channel for support during this transition as well. I think that might be helpful. I think everyone here is on our Slack. Is that right? Is anyone not on Slack, on the University Communications Slack?
But yes, please, I know this is a lot to take in. It is, I do know HTML and I was laying out all the feature stories that way. So been doing a lot of testing with this and it really is more user friendly. It seems, change can be hard, especially when you're doing this on a frequent basis. But it really is meant to be easier, and please reach out to me with any questions or concerns once you get going. And yes, Ben, I see your question here. Yes, if you do move this, if you are moving a photo around that has the copy, you would have to update that. Sometimes if you've laid it out before, I've seen stories sent to me, I lay them out for this week with the images embedded in them. So you kind of have an idea of the layout. That will help. But yeah, so be aware if you do move this around with the image, this content is going to be moved as well. So you'd have to update that. When you have a full width image, video, well, the video has the content extra, basically the full width one where you can move it around without. Jess, I saw you're in here answering questions. Was there anything? Did you get to everything?
I think so. But one thing, when you were just talking about what we were just talking about, Kate, it made me realize I forgot to mention that going forward, you all are going to be laying out all of your own stories. So that's why we're giving all these extra little pieces like the sidebar and everything. So there won't be a differentiator between feature stories anymore and news releases. It'll all be one template for all of these, so you'll have full control over your stories and editing them.
Oh, and also I forgot to mention, I know I met with some of you before on, I added those core images, we call them core kind of generic images here. I copied them over. You can search core. I think they're in here. So I think it was 25 I went through. We discussed on what you wanted, kind of different campus shots, students, classroom setting, different buildings. So if you don't have a photo or image for your story, you can check here if there's something you know, keep wanting, and if it's one time, that probably won't go into the core, but if there's something that you could be using often, let me know and I could add it here. So these are available, some different lab shots. We have Jacobs Medical. So there's, I think, 25, and there's both the teaser. I might I'll probably rename these. And the hero one.
If you click on those, does it show you what it looks like?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, so yeah, if you see one that sounds interesting, you can click on it and see. So this could work if you, you know, have a headshot of someone that's not going to work the best for the thumbnail, and if you don't think it's absolutely necessary to have that person for the thumbnail, you can pull a generic one if you want. That's an example of
Yep.
how you use
And
that. Or
there's
story you don't have any images, really, you have these options here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kate, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and some are more, you know, like we have the library, which is like very general. And then there's some of just the building. So yeah, some are kind of more generic. There's scripts here. So please don't forget about that and use those. You know, if you're want to add to your story, a photo you have won't work, or you don't have any.
Christine, I couldn't understand your question. Christine has a question.
So before we could only edit news releases. So now you're saying like stories, I know the newsletter is getting rebranded this week. Can we edit like everything on the news site? So any story that we author that we use for like this week or the new this week, we'll be able to access?
Yes.
It'll all be one channel. There will, and it will be, this news releases will be renamed stories. And it's
Okay.
all one. There's no, and I'm logged in as the writer now, so this is what you'll see. Again, this will be stories. And there's no difference between
Okay.
all
And
features now for Newsweek, this week's stories.
for stories, so and that's something that will be this week, which I know right now the team lays them out, the this week team lays them out. Is that changing? Will the authors be doing that, or?
Yes, the authors will be doing that going forward with this one template.
Okay.
And those tend to be, you know, have more elements in them. You know, definitely a lot of times more images. So that's why I said again in the beginning, well, anytime, but especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
I'm the one who lays them out for this week. So don't hesitate to reach out to me.
And Catherine just asked a question about pitching the stories. Janet would be the person to ask more details about that. So I'm not sure exactly how that process is changing, but we are moving to 2 days a week for the newsletter. And I should mention that is, I might have mentioned this actually earlier, but that's starting up on the week of the 20th that we're going to, September 20th that we're going to 2 times a week. And also with the launch of the site will be the 16th of September. So that'll happen a little before the newsletter starts going out, just a few weeks before. Does anyone else have any questions?
I don't know if you covered this this is Christine. I don't know if you covered this at the top, but I do have a meeting on my calendar for session 2. Is that for people who couldn't make this meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, there's 2 options of time.
You're welcome to come to that one too.
Thank you.
We're recording both. I'm assuming tomorrow's will be a little more seamless, but thank you for sticking with us. And
Of course.
yeah, this will be shared too. So if you need to reference back along with a guide, I'm creating a guide that will be shared as well with like screenshots. And
I think Nikki has her hand up.
Oh, yeah. Nikki, do you have a question?
Yeah, and this might be more for Janet, but that this is the first that I'm hearing that this week is going to 2 times a week, and I'm just curious how and why that decision was made. Is it because of our open rates and reading rates? Is it the amount of content that we're generating?
There's a lot of strategy behind why we're going to 2 days a week, but one of the big advantages is that it will definitely be more timely. Part of the problem that I've been seeing is that a lot of our big breaking stories that are embargoed in the major journals like Nature, Science and such, particularly out of health sciences, they tend to break right after this week goes out. So like at 11 o'clock on Thursday. And even if it's a huge story, by the next week, it's lost its momentum because it's a whole week old, right? So coming out more times a week will make it more timely so that we can push the news out when it's fresh. So that's part of the thinking. It'll also allow us to just push out more content because we'll have more room having 2 issues instead of 1. There's a lot of thinking behind why we want to go that route.
Sure. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yes, and another thing I wanted to mention, speaking of the training, so some of you might remember we had that hidden resources page. If you were logged into Expression Engine and you went to the home page or the site, you could see the resources. We are going to do that on the site as well. So we'll be posting the video there. And so the video of the training and also the guide for the training. And if you ever notice anything else that you think that would be helpful to have there, just let us know and we can easily put it up. It will just be for people, for communications directors and authors and communication staff to access. So anyone who has a login to Expression Engine will be able to see that page.
I had a question about just like cutting and pasting the copy. I noticed when you were doing it in that example that a couple of the text fields were changing like the fonts. Is that automatic or do we have to be conscious of where we're pulling, what our font sizes or our font type is for cutting and pasting?
You shouldn't have to. The only thing we always say is you might remember from the old training, is be careful copying and pasting text from Word, because sometimes it puts in funky codes and it puts in its own font sizes. So what we usually recommend is to put it in your text, say it's in Word, paste it over into a text editor and then paste it into the site. And that should be fine. Most of the time though, I think it's been okay pasting it in from Word. Kate, have you noticed?
I was gonna say, I noticed a lot, like if I look, if a release is in this week and I go in to look at it, even a lot of times when there's extra code in there, it still is pulling okay, like it looks okay.
Yeah.
Story, it doesn't need to be in there, but
So you shouldn't have to fiddle with the text.
yeah, I haven't seen stories that have different fonts and sizes.
And if you notice something like
Yeah.
that, just let us know and we can take a look. And we can send a link to this test story that Javier has laid out as well. And then you can also, let me put this in the chat. You all want to start exploring around the site. Again, I should mention, just going back, we will be sending you a Sandbox site link that will be different from this one, but you can start poking around on this one if you want right now. And we'll post this example story that Javier set up to that resources page, and you can kind of look to see, oh, this is how the text should look, the paragraph text, and if you scroll down, you'll see some header text as well, how the H3 text should look. And if you notice anything looks really off at any time, like I said, you could just let us know. But generally, it should be pretty much retaining what we have here, these styles. Any other questions?
Did we go over the related stories section at the bottom?
Yeah,
So this
well,
is, oh yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry, I can reshare. There was the topics. Let me share again.
Oh,
So,
Patrick, I see we have the same question.
yeah, so you can, there's no related stories linked how there were before. So here, as Jess showed, you could add them in a sidebar. So this is creating a sidebar.
Okay, thank you.
Or you can put the related, that's related stories. The topics are different, I guess. So yeah, that would be adding a sidebar and making the headline of the sidebar related stories.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so you can use that for different purposes, Anthony. One thing we noticed is not everyone was doing those related stories before. So if you want to add related stories there, you can. You can even put little, blurbs below those related to each of those stories. Or you can use it for a completely different purpose if you want, for those.
Yeah, this could be like how we have sidebars now. They're just, you have something with, you want to add like some events or other links. It could be here. You would just put the title related stories and add those links here and put the copy, this copy to the left there.
Yeah, and you probably want to make sure that you have a heading next to those related stories for accessibility purposes. And that's why I put that H3, make sure there's a heading before sidebar.
Yeah, one of the things we did with this website is we did a lot of work with Jimmy and Jen, who are our resident electronic accessibility specialists on campus. And Jimmy noticed that when he was using the screen reader and jumping through the story, he missed, I think it was that he missed the sidebar. Is that right, Javier? So that gives him a way. It might be hard to remember to do that, but it gives him a way to kind of jump to that if he needs to. I think the other thing he mentioned is either putting it at the bottom of the story or the top of the story instead of the middle is also better for accessibility. But I know, you probably can't always do that, but it's just a note there for you in case you can. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you so much again, everyone, for attending this. And like we said, please email us with any questions to that newsrel@ucsd.edu. And we're happy to, if you do need another refresher or anything for this training, or you want us to walk through your first story with you, we're happy to do that as well. And we will be sending around the guide and the link to the Sandbox site in the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you.